supply chain and logistics shipping startups, and he's going to give sort of an overview, market analysis or industry analysis of that. So let me introduce Matthew Warner from Chain-Finance. Matthew, welcome.
Okay, thank you, Hans. Yeah, I'm just going to give you kind of an overview of the kind of things that I've come across that exist at the moment in a sort of startup stage in the blockchain world for shipping. First of all, a quick introduction to sort of shipping. It's a huge, huge area. Up to 90% of globally traded goods are transported on ships. A few years ago, it was estimated to be worth about 60% of global GDP, so it's a huge area, and it's really reliant on kind of outdated technology, a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of things that bills of lading. There's other things that you require paperwork for, things that often require in triplicates or quadruplicates. So there's a huge amount of time and effort is spent on kind of this kind of antiquated system. And yeah, there's can have lots of intermediaries when you're trading things in shipping, and there's lots of different places to go through, to jump through. So I'm going to look at kind of reducing the possibility of reducing some of these problems. So very quickly, for those of you who might have missed some of the stuff this morning or still new to blockchain, centralized and distributed system. It's immutable. Once something's on there, it doesn't change, and it's permanent. So if you've got a record of something, like we learned about earlier, some of the paper records, when there have been some sort of accident, paper records go missing. It doesn't happen with blockchain because everything's permanent. Transparency, depending on the blockchain that's being used, you can have transparent systems, or you can have private blockchains where not everybody can see everything. And then obviously security has been talked about already. And there are different blockchain types that fit different situations. There's lots of blockchains being developed. Some of them, a lot of them are broadly the same, but there's little discrepancies between them. These are a bit different. But one thing I'm going to touch on a bit later is smart contracts. So that's where you have a code, and the code will fulfill a certain, it will perform a certain action once certain requirements are met. So yeah, some of the issues that the shipping industry is facing, we've heard from bills of lading, generally the paperwork, the supply chain is huge. I've seen people say that sometimes the cost of the paperwork is more than the cost of the actual shipping. And you get set paper that are like foot high, 30 centimeters high in some cases. But they're not the only issues. So proving cargo provenance, where things have come from, showing that it is what it says it is another issue. And along a similar vein, ensuring the integrity of the cargo so it's in the same condition that it was when it set out. Currently, there's a lot of wasteful and costly processes. Things like companies having to comply with know your customer requirements, often different places where a ship will go through will have different, they'll have to do it for each place they go through. It's not just a one-time thing. And there's things like logs, spreadsheets, data intermediaries, product databases, all they're not just joined together, they're all disparate. So we're looking at what companies at the moment are doing to try and reduce or solve these problems by using blockchain technology. So this is just an overview of the companies I'm going to be talking about. As you can see, there's quite a number of them are focused on the Bitcoin blockchain, quite possibly just because it's the most established one. Ones like Ethereum, a different kind of blockchain, is often said to be better for people who are looking to use smart contracts. But there are loads of other different blockchains that can be used. And if people don't like the blockchains that are out there, they can invent their own. There's nothing to stop them. But I'm going to start off with block rate. I'm not actually going to say too much about block rate because there's a presentation this afternoon on block rate. I don't want to waste time going over things twice. But there's an Australian startup uses a counterparty platform, and it is set to tackle inefficiency and variability in data. So it's a blockchain of global freight, and it looks at distributed automation and audit and settlements. So a number of different things that you can do with it, but I'll moving on to, I think it's pronounced Hydro. They've just rebranded their name last week. It used to be called Fluent. It's been around for a couple of years, and it's based in the US, and it's looking at enhancing connectivity between parties using blockchain. It does use Bitcoin architecture, and it's got a specific focus around people who are looking to solve problems with invoicing and payments. So it's designed to increase efficiency, provide flexibility, and enhance collaboration across the global supply chain. One way it's been described probably the best way to describe it is a blockchain layer on top of the existing banking infrastructure. So the next company we're going to look at is Wave. It's an Israeli company that was formed last year, and it's looking at something we've talked about already today, digitising the bills of lading. So it's sort of similar to Fluent in that it's looking at connecting people in the supply chain, reducing some of the kind of costly and wasteful processes surrounding all this paperwork. So Wave's created a peer-to-peer, decentralised network that connects carriers, banks, forwarders, traders, and any other parties of the international trading supply chain. And it manages the ownership of documents on the blockchain, so that kind of reduces the possibility of fraud, can be used in dispute resolution, and it doesn't all go through a central authority. So it's like all blockchain things, it doesn't have a central point of failure, which is obviously better if you're looking at something like this, where if records are lost, then you're kind of in a stick situation, because you don't have other copies to. So next company is Renovate. This has developed a platform which is based on colour coin protocol, that's been used by Nasdaq, Overstock, Fujitsu to create digital assets. And what this does is it stores details of orders on the of the supply chain, and shares them across multiple trading parties and funders. So it's again very much looking at the connectivity of the supply chain, allowing people to communicate and trade information a lot more easily. Serrano says that its platform allows suppliers access to low-cost working capital, can finance across the trade cycle, from things like anything from insurance and purchase orders, through production and shipping phases to invoice. So across the whole of the supply chain. The next company is a slightly different approach. B.Eng is more of a kind of smart contracts idea. What it does is it records the terms of a trade, and then it implements payments when certain things that occur in the trade. So very much a kind of different approach to the others. It's using a federated system, so every member of the system has gone through Know Your Customer regulations, and its aim is targeting the intersection of payments, so letters of credit or wire transfers, also finance, so operating loans or short-term trade loans, and visibility, so SAP or ERP systems. Hoping that it will reduce processing costs and give more opportunity to innovate. Because obviously, it will reduce reliance on current systems, which are perhaps more expensive. So what it does is it has it's called a bracket, and that records the terms of the trade, and then it will execute the flow of money in the terms of the trade based on the flow of goods, whether it's what's been designated. They've also developed some other products. They've developed something called Data LC, which speeds up payments made to customers. And they have integrated with Swift and a few other companies, but it's looking at cutting out all these sort of unnecessary costs in the system. So this again is now moving on to a slightly more different approach. Provenance, as its name suggests, looks at where things come from in the supply chain. It's all about proving that things come from where they say they come from. And it's using Ethereum. And the whole idea is to make supply chains more transparent. So it's developed a prototype that enables you to track it. It basically creates a digital passport of an item and allows you to track it on the blockchain. It isn't just the traceability of the certification, it's also any other data around it can be stored on as well. So it is very much a kind of log of all the data of the project. Before I move on to the next one, slight disclaimer, I don't actually know if this is being developed. It's won a hackathon in Shanghai beginning of this year, and since then there's been no information about it, but I have included it because I think the idea behind it is applicable even if it hasn't been developed. But basically what Cargo Chain did is it's meant to be a settlement platform which provides importers, exporters, shipping companies and customs an interface to view the information about a piece of cargo. So it's a single point of reference, so you don't need to keep producing all the documents, you don't need to provide it obviously in many copies of it because of the blockchain. And it just would obviously reduce the kind of time and effort that companies have to put in to produce all this paperwork. So it's the parts which it was meant to tackle, if it is invert, is document authentication, payment when documents are produced, inefficiency and time delay of shipping documents, risk of loss of documents, and it offers a document chain of custody for trade documents, and all the things that kind of looked at when you think about blockchain technology. Reduces the possibility of fraud. You can automate payments. You can automate escrow, and you can also build in a lot of requirements. So you can say that there will be penalties if something is delayed or another conditions is met. But as I say, I don't know if this is actually being developed. I couldn't find anything recent on it, but even so, it's a good idea that could be applicable. So moving on from Cargo Chain is the R3 consortium. I think people will probably be familiar with this. They've looked at a couple of different things using blockchain technology for shipping. So they looked at utilising smart contracts on the order distribution platform to process accounts receivable, purchase transactions, invoice financing, and they also looked at letters of credit transactions. So both things that kind of used in global financial markets. They is a Finnish company called SmartBulk. It's actually from an economic development firm owned by a city in Finland. They were given 2.4 million euros to pay for a project which is meant to streamline the supply chain. So they've got a 3-year plan where they're going to connect various different enterprises into the supply chain similar to some of the first ones we looked at. It's all about enhancing the connectivity. And it's looking into using smart contracts that are built into shipping containers. So it's slightly different from the others in that you'd be able to monitor and track shipping containers individually, and you'd be able to sort of kind of specify more things about them. They actually began a proof of concept in September, and they have they've designed a global blockchain platform for logistics industry to give the containers the ability to dynamically organise their own routes. So a lot more automation being put into the system. Next company is Mensa, big shipping company based in Denmark. They worked with the IT University of Copenhagen, and they are looking to making a blockchain-based bill of lading. So something that other companies are looking into. But they carried out a proof of concept which involved shipping a consignment of roses from Kenya to Rotterdam. Obviously, something like roses is perishable, they last forever. So, really key part of speeding up the whole process in the supply chain using blockchain technology is to allow for things that are time valuable. To have a better ability to be shipped. So like we heard earlier, if there's paperwork that's missing or something's not there, and a perishable good gets held up in port, then it's going to obviously lose all its value when it goes off. The IT University of Copenhagen they work with also done a couple of other proof of concepts. They were working on how to give a bit of privacy in a blockchain situation. So obviously, if you've you can see the entire supply chain and see where everything comes from. There's nothing to stop you going to the source of whatever it is you're buying and purchasing yourself. So obviously, some companies don't want to be cut out, so they want to take their cut, and they looked into how to do that on the blockchain. So, the final one that we're going to really look at is the Marine Transport International. It's another UK company, and it's been developing its platform for the past year and a half. It's a public blockchain which is going to connect the supply chain together, allowing companies to build ecosystems between the supply chain parties and anyone else who's using the blockchain with the goal of improving the efficiency. It's using blockchain technology to share the verified gross mass information for new container shipping weight rules. And it's also hoping to accelerate the kind of data flow and reduce the reliance on the kind of expensive infrastructure and IT that is needed. So one thing that they're doing is that it's everything is going to be available on phones, tablets, PCs, so you don't have to have those kind of costly systems that you would otherwise need. So I thought I'd just look at a couple of things that are maybe not quite so developed at the moment, or maybe are coming in the future, but UPS said it was looking into using blockchain or Bitcoin, using the kind of benefits of cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and that it will be global, it will be a lot faster than the current system, to be more efficient. And also that it kind of expands customer bases and potential clients to anyone in the world. You don't have to have a bank account. Most of the world's population doesn't. So bringing sort of more people into the supply chain. And just to show that it's not, it is all kind of things that are really happening all the time in this sphere. This is something I wrote just last week, just came out. So Chronicle Inc. is a San Francisco-based company, and they've developed this prototype called a crypto seal, and it's a physical object that you place onto a piece of cargo, and it records information about it, publish it to the blockchain, so it will show what the condition is of whatever it's being placed in. And also it's got tamper-proof mechanisms built into it, so it's bringing trust and transparency and being able to show the provenance of things. So yeah, it's loads of different things that are coming into this into the shipping industry for blockchain. There are, I think there's about 12 startups that kind of went through there, but it is a huge potential here for all the kind of inefficient paper systems to be upgraded to blockchain technology. And yeah, I thought I'd finish off with a little pun that's already making waves in the shipping industry. Yeah, that's all from me. If anyone's got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not an expert on blockchain, and I'm not from any of the companies, but I've read up about them and I've sort of researched some things. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Yes?
What's the single best consolidated source of information out there?
Well, I think you have to go to Marx's control knowledge.
What type of information?
Just on trade finance.
Just trade finance.
Well, you cover all the stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything else specific you can say?
That's just focused on trade finance, blockchain. I mean, our publications do that, but there's other publications like Windsor that are covering it, but no one's that vertical. But that would be a great publication.
Do you think that would come, or is it too early?
I think a little too early, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the market. You know, but for daily news, weekly news, it will come, I think.
Anyone else? Yeah.
You list a dozen of startups.
Yeah.
And some of them, only one of them is based in Asia, right? There's one in Shanghai, which is the one we don't know if it's really going through or not. It's called.
Yes, that was from a hackathon that was held in Shanghai.
That is in China, that is in Europe.
Uh,
That is in Europe, I think.
Yeah, so the hackathon was in Shanghai.
It's the hackathon in Shanghai, but that is in Europe.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
The startup is European. And among these, the most interesting one for goods sourced out of China, where there is a problem of tracking the origin and the reliability of the product, is probably provenance.
Yes.
What do you think, being a journalist, I think you went through the profile of the companies that you know them, or you don't, you interview them, what do you think?
I haven't interviewed Providence, but sorry, was the question that
Yeah,
is it
does it really look that the platform Ethereum combined with provenance, or provenance combined with Ethereum, is really able to bring, to give to the owner of the goods really traceability and safety about the product that they are shipping through blockchain or not? In your opinion?
so can it do what it says it does? I think it might be a bit too early to tell, because these are all kind of in the development phase. I think it's worth keeping an eye on and sort of monitoring.
There's no history, there's no case histories about it. Sorry? There's no case history about provenance.
Not one that I've seen, no.
I've spoken to the provenance people, and provenance is like really focused on global food and sources, like sourcing food and tracking it. Provenance. As far as provenance or product sourcing, there are a couple companies doing that. There's one actually based in Shanghai that's called Mensa, and they have a platform that uses NFC tags. So you put an NFC tag in a product and they embed it. There's another company doing that based in San Francisco called Chronicle, and they're putting NFC tags in trainers, tennis shoes, and other products that are supposed to be untamperable. And they basically, when it's created, that product's created, they register on the blockchain, so from birth. And what we're interested in at Chain of Things is creating it for devices. So from factory level, so creating a birth registry for devices and machines from the factory level. So.
Excuse me, can you spell this again?
Bitse, B-I-T-S-E.
The solution is called V-Chain.
V-Chain.
Yeah, and they're actually in production. And they've got 2-side contracts in production.
V-Chain.
V as in Valentine's.
V-E Chain. And one of the founders was with Louis Vuitton in China, so they've got an understanding.
They know that.
Yeah. So for those type of luxury goods, they see real value. So the company's Chronicle.
So yeah, this isn't all the shipping startups that are blockchain sort of related. It's just an example of some of them. So there are others out there. Yes.
Given trade is cross-border, which governments, customs and excise processes would be most blockchain oriented?
Which governments will be most blockchain oriented?
Yeah. Are there governments, customs and excise procedures being looked at from that perspective that are blockchain oriented? This is all great, but at some point customs and excise will say no. Right?
I'm assuming that the ones that are working in, I think, Mensa, obviously a big shipping company, I imagine they will have a lot of people looking at sort of regulation and compliance. Because one of the things, the know your customer compliance rules, a couple of them are working with. I don't know how that would change depending on different countries, because I don't know any much about shipping rules. So.
I haven't heard of any customs departments or agencies that are really looking at the blockchain. But one thing is, in terms of human identity, in the U.S., the Department of Homeland Security, I don't know if you've heard, they put out 4 or 5 grants for human identity systems.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember reading quite some time ago that yes, has introduced a lot of stuff around blockchain. They're experimenting with several use cases. So they might be somebody like Estonia is actually a frequent player in the shipping market.
There may be people looking at this is just some examples. So, any other questions?
Okay. Thank you, Matthew. Great job.